Okay, let's jump into this. We are looking at something really unique today. It's called Forgetful Skies. And it's not just an album, is it? It's this whole project from TATANKA. Feels like it mashes up lo-fi, soft rock, some really interesting binaural sound.
Deep storytelling, definitely. And that human-AI collaboration piece is central, too.
Right. It's quite a blend.
It really is. The material you've shared, it paints a picture of a deeply immersive experience. They're really using sound and tech to dig into some big human themes, memory loss.
In healing, that whole messy process.
Exactly. It's all about navigating that.
And the whole thing seems anchored by this one character, Elliot Hale. He's a sound engineer.
That's right. His story, his personal grappling with grief after someone named Mira leaves. That's our way into the whole thing.
So our mission here for this deep dive is really to unpack all of that.
Yeah, pull apart the layers. We want to explore how they make memory feel almost physical.
Like something you can touch.
Yeah.
And how these specific sound frequencies work, how they actually shape emotion.
And what does it really mean for AI to be a creative partner, not just a tool?
Big question. And ultimately, what does Forgetful Skies maybe tell us about finding some kind of peace after loss?
A lot to get into.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
It all seems to start with this core idea they talk about, this immersive audio journey.
Exactly. Audio artificial intelligence. They're very clear this is more than songs on a record. It's a concept album, yes, but also a narrative experience designed to hit you emotionally.
And the style is so specific, that lo-fi kind of 70s soft rock feel.
Yeah, almost nostalgic.
Woven with that detailed binaural sound, and it's all carrying this story.
And the themes are right up front. Memory, grief, emotional resonance, and that really intriguing idea they call signal drift.
Elliot Hale, the sound engineer character, he's the linchpin for all this.
Absolutely. His struggle, with time, with memory, with losing Mira, that's the perspective we get. Everything filters through him.
And the way they made it is interesting, too. The sources mention AI tools like ChatGPT, Meta.ai, Refusion, Suno.
Quite the list.
But they really stress it wasn't just like push-a-button AI. It was using these tools with human creativity, side by side.
Which leads to one of the really powerful ideas in the project, I think, this take on memory.
Yeah.
It's not just remembering things in your head. It's presented as something structural, almost tangible. They actually call it sonic architecture.
Sonic architecture. I like that. It makes you think of Elliot's home, right? Not just walls and a roof, but like a physical archive.
Exactly. Full of reel-to-reel tapes, sonic bits and pieces. The source material calls it scaffolding for his identity and emotional survival. It's what's holding him together.
And Mira, after she's gone, she's not just a memory. She's preserved in waveforms.
That's the idea. So the rooms themselves become these reliquaries for memory, like little shrines, echo chambers for the unresolved.
Oh.
So memory, when you record it, when you play it back, it becomes, in their words, inhabitable and immutable. Like you can literally step back inside that sound, that feeling.
And his radio broadcast, Signal Drift, that fits into this architecture too.
Definitely. It's like his confessional, but also a ritual. A way to remember.
He's sending out ghost broadcasts, sonic postcards, just hoping someone, maybe Mira, tunes in.
Yeah, searching for connection. And the album tracks, the narrative chapters, they mirror that. They're like rooms of memory.
Like the static between our names or the architecture of silence.
Exactly. It shows how memory isn't linear, it's spatial, it loops, like a track stuck on repeat, which feels pretty true to how grief can feel sometimes, right?
It really does. Okay, so there's the memory architecture, but then there's the sound itself. The binaural sound part sounds really key, using 6 hertz beats.
Right. And this is where it gets technically fascinating, but also emotionally resonant. That 6 hertz frequency, it's in the theta range.
Okay.
And theta waves are scientifically linked to deep relaxation, meditation, and crucially for this, emotional introspection.
So they're trying to put the listener in a certain state?
Kind of. The idea is to induce this liminal, suspended time feeling, mirroring Elliot, who's caught between his past and trying to find a present.
And it wasn't just slapping the frequency on top of any music.
No, very intentional. The music is often composed in G or G minor. Why? Because that harmonizes with the 200 hertz frequency they use in the left ear for the binaural effect.
Nice. Okay, so it all works together sonically, no clashing.
Precisely. It's about creating this smooth, congruent soundscape that gently nudges you toward that introspective space. The instruments they choose, too, that muted Fender Rhodes, analog synths, reversed guitar sounds,
They all fit that vibe.
They amplify the feeling, the emotional access that the theta frequency opens up.
So the binaural thing isn't just like a cool gimmick.
Not at all. The material describes it as an emotional scaffold, even a therapeutic space.
Like an act of care,
Yeah.
using sound to make it okay to feel these complex things along with Elliot.
Exactly. Which kind of shifts us towards the AI aspect and how that's used.
We're at the odd AI part.
What's really striking here is they don't just talk about AI as a tool. It's positioned as a co-architect of emotional expression.
Co-architect. That's a powerful way to put it. Not AI taking over.
But collaborating. They call it a hybrid creation. It's about blending human intuition, human feeling, with what the algorithms can do. Algorithmic sensitivity, as they put it.
So the AI is like another instrument.
Right.
Or a medium.
Yeah, like a paintbrush or Elliot's reel-to-reel or his signal tower. It expands the palette, expands the possibilities. But, and this is key, it still relies on human feeling to know what matters. The human guides it.
They mentioned using master prompts that mixed musical direction with the emotional tone they wanted.
And you can almost see that reflected in the characters, can't you? Elliot, the technical sound guy.
And May, the painter, who seems to represent more creative vulnerability.
Right. And maybe the suggestion is that real healing or creating something meaningful needs both, that technical skill and that creative openness.
It makes sense. So the AI wasn't just thrown in randomly.
No, chosen for narrative utility, to serve the story, the feeling. And the result, according to the sources, is this album that feels profoundly human.
Even though AI helped shape it.
Yeah. It makes a case for a potentially new genre of deeply collaborative art. It's pretty thought-provoking.
So let's trace Elliot's actual journey then, because that seems to be where all these threads, memory, sound, collaboration, healing, come together.
It starts rough. Mira leaves, and his first instinct is archive. Turn his whole house into a museum of her presence.
And the signal drift broadcasts are part of that early stage.
Absolutely. Raw grief, really. Broadcasting blind into the void, as the notes say. Just hoping she'll somehow hear. Searching for that lost signal.
But then, Mare appears. A different signal breaks through the static.
Yeah, her voice on the radio. It offers connection, something different. She becomes this familiar, trusted frequency.
And she sees things he doesn't, like how some memories are buried in static.
Right, waiting for someone to tune them in. And she has that sharp insight that Elliot isn't just missing Mira. He's chasing the version of you that had her, the past version of himself.
Oof, that's insightful.
It really is. And her presence starts to crack open the archive he's built around himself. He knows, deep down, some rooms we never leave, but...
But he realizes he can't keep living there.
Exactly. That architectural silence he created becomes too much. He reaches that point where he says, I don't want to live inside silence anymore.
And that feels like the shift towards actually healing.
It is. You see it in his later recordings, like flickering beneath the skin, more vulnerability, admitting feelings just flicker beneath the skin, then May physically showing up.
Lanterns in reverse.
Yeah, and them actually creating something together, the returning light track, painting the signal tower with moths that remember stars. It's all symbolic movement.
Even the kiss is described just as recognition, not fireworks, but connection.
A different kind of signal being received than the trip he takes to Mira's city, the city where moths wait.
It's not about finding her, is it?
No, it's about finding himself in a way. Realizing that memory isn't always about going back. Sometimes it's about seeing that you survived.
And that the patterns you thought were fixed, the constellations...
They fade into new shapes. Things change. You change.
Which leads to the end. Acceptance, peace.
Right. That final broadcast just dissolves into the forgetful skies. It's release. The house still remembers Mira, but it lets her go. The echo fades.
And the quiet between him and May wasn't silence anymore. It was peace.
It's a powerful arc, not forgetting, but integrating. Making space.
Okay, so that's Elliot's story within Forgetful Skies. But the source material also talks about TATANKA, the organization behind it, and their wider mission.
Yeah, they have this phrase, music meets mission.
And they gave an example, 𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗔𝗡, and her song, Where the Water Remembers.
That's right, part of their Orchestra Americana project.
Which sounds like more than just an orchestra.
It is. They frame it as a bridge, a kind of living archive for voices that, well, haven't always been heard in the mainstream, historically excluded voices.
Using music to make space for different stories.
Exactly. And 𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗔𝗡's story is compelling. Afro-Caribbean Muslim, DNA, Two-Spirit, this incredibly rich background.
And her voice, blending all that, became key to a piece about some really heavy themes: displacement, gender fluidity, ecological grief.
Through work like this, TATANKA says their goal is to amplify being, to give room to breath. It comes from this core idea
That innovation doesn't begin with algorithms.
it begins with who we choose to listen to. Especially, they emphasize marginalized voices.
Because being marginalized isn't a weakness.
It's a vantage point. It offers a unique perspective. It's a really interesting philosophy.
And they connect it to indigenous wisdom, too. Sitting Bull.
Trying to use music and story to help harmonize things, move towards something more whole. Fundamentally, it seems to be about connection through really deep, intentional listening.
Okay, so if we try and boil this all down, everything from Forgetful Skies, Eliot's journey, to Tanka's mission, what are the big takeaways here?
Well, first, I think it's that really evocative idea of memory. Not just mental, but spatial. Like architecture you can almost walk through, built of sound and feeling.
Yeah, that's a big one. And connected to that, how sound itself, especially specific frequencies like those theta beats, can genuinely influence your emotional state. Guide it, almost.
Definitely. Third, the AI piece. That technology, when it's used thoughtfully, collaboratively, it can be a true creative partner. A co-architect, not just code, expanding what's possible.
And fourth, maybe what Eliot's story shows us about healing, it's not about forgetting, it's more about integration. Recognizing you survived and making space for the present.
Well put. And finally, that thread running through everything. Listening, the power of truly listening. To others, to unheard voices, to the past, and to yourself.
So for you, listening right now, how might thinking of your own memories as spaces or sounds change things?
Or just noticing. How does the sound around you actually affect how you feel day to day? Are you aware of it?
And where might you find chances for collaboration, maybe in unexpected places, with people or even technology?
And that balance. How do you let go of parts of the past while still holding on to the memory, honoring the fact that you came through it?
Maybe thinking about whose voices you hear regularly and whose you might be missing out on. Who aren't you listening to?
Forgetful Skies, it really feels like a powerful example of how art and tech and storytelling can come together, exploring these huge human things, memory, loss, healing in a really compelling way.
It leaves you thinking, what forgotten signals might be out there waiting to be heard in your own life, maybe from your past or just around you, or even inside you.
Or that final thought, if memory can be architecture, how are you choosing to build the spaces you inhabit? Are they just echo chambers, or are you building rooms ready for new sounds, new light?